Hi everyone, this is a continuation of different kinds of relationships that people have to experience in their life or go through in their life when they are in their twin flame journey or a divine counterpart life journey. In the first video, I talked about some experiences that were related to meeting people who were possible potential soulmates or people who were false twin flame because the intensity of connectivity was very deep with them. But even though the emotional connection from my end was high, the sexual connection from the guy's end was high, in between there were not many connectivity in the way in which we want to lead life, what is the priority in life, what is the current priority, future priority we want to give. We didn't have any space to hold discussions. We didn't have a relationship where we sat down and talked carefully with each other, mindfully with each other, thinking about each other. None of those experiences were showing up, because of which it was a false twin flame relationship where emotional attraction or physical attraction or both can be heavy, high. You can feel the pull towards that person, they can feel the pull towards you, but because both of us could be in an immature level of living, or also because we might have had past life karma with each other, that's why we feel familiar to each other, we feel like staying with each other. But even in the past life, some things happened which haven't been healed. So if those past life experiences with them weren't healed, the reason we met in this life was to heal that in some way, directly or indirectly with each other. So the healing that happened, even though I separated from that guy, many things related to the conflict in that relationship still helped me heal and evolve. The thing that when I was younger, I was fatter, chubbier, uglier than many of the people I knew. The people I knew in US, I didn't come from a economically very high family, so naturally the way I looked or dressed was all same as poor migrant workers. In fact, I was mistaken sometimes as a Mexican as a result of the way I used to dress. And all these things that impacted my dressing, the way I socialized, everything was related to how I was brought up, which had a lot of family trauma related issues, not just from poor upbringing arising from poor socioeconomic circumstances. I didn't have a poor socioeconomic circumstance in the sense of average standard Indian living, but what was poor in my life was related to the social circumstances, the relational circumstances of my life, because of which, even though I had a very good average middle class childhood, I didn't have many things that even average middle class children have in their lives. So when I was an adult living in US in the initial years, I was figuring out my journey of how to become an adult, because I had only simply been surviving through childhood, surviving through teenage years, the kind of survival many don't go through when they are children. The kind of survival those who do go through that are coming from usually poor families or coming from abusive and addiction prone upbringing in their life. So I resonate, that's why, more with understanding the problems of those who have come from even poorer families than mine, those who have come from even worse addiction related issues in their families, even worse mental health issues in their families, because I did have both parents who had mental health issues. Now these realizations that my parents had mental health issues didn't come to me when I was a 20-year-old. It took me a while to gain life experiences to realize that my parents were mentally unstable, as a result of which I have emotional problems, because I didn't realize they were mentally unstable. So I did whatever you are taught as a child, you do whatever your parent teaches you. So if your parent has taught you directly or indirectly certain wrong principles about living, you will naturally reflect that in your nature, which is what happened to these first two relationships. Both both boys also came from families with some problems. So even if we didn't have a past life karma, in our present life with each other, we were supposed to help each other get away from some false belief systems of our families, which whether I helped them or not, even I understood that about them, even though both were communication wise very less open about their family life, not just about their own family life. When I tried to ask them those questions, there were two ways to develop that communication, right? When I'm asking you questions about you, it also means if you follow this principle of doing unto others what you want to be done to you, it means that if you are talking and asking people to open up about their family life, you also wish for them to ask you about their family life. That is how you lead life, that is how you communicate effectively in life. If I never knew you in the last 20 years 30 years of your life that you have led before you met me, how will I know what shapes up who you are now if you don't tell me certain things about your past? So for a healthy relationship, it is very important to reveal things about your past which crucially emotionally developed you, which crucially developed you in the way in which logically also you lead life, because both emotions and logic, our left and right brain functions, I'm a little bit dyslexic, so I always get confused which left brain or right brain causes us to be logical or emotional. I don't remember, but one side brain causes us to be emotional, the other side brain causes us to be logical. And when you are in a balanced logic and emotion driven person, when you are a aligned and balanced person for whatever reason, or when you are learning how to align yourself, you also have to have partners who have to also learn how to align themselves, partners who have to also discover what about the logical reasoning they do in their life or emotional ways in which they react to things and respond to things. What about it is good and bad in them? What about that is difficult for someone else to work with if the other person doesn't have the right context about you? So I didn't have, and when I am also immature, they are also immature, naturally there will be a lot of conflict zones. When I am also traumatized from parents, they are also traumatized from parents and upbringing, again there will be more and more conflicts, more and more judgments or false perceptions about what the other is saying. Because what happened with some of these men, if this is a natural thing that every woman and man when they are in a relationship should understand in a balanced aligned relationship, is that if your partner is saying, hey, I have a problem with this, or even not like this, they said, you did this, it is I don't like it. Both of these, even if they said I don't like it, or if they said I have a problem with this, shouldn't automatically cause us to think that the partner is my enemy and he or she is wanting to destroy my ego and he's a narcissist and that's why he doesn't know how to speak. That is not how the world works. If you are a person who has lived in US or a person who has lived in India, you will know this, or a person who has lived with people like this from US and India. Because what did I find from my living in US and India is this, that there are different kinds of people living in different kinds of cultures, living in different kinds of states of India, states of US. This stark difference that people usually say is present in eastern coast of US and western coast of US. Why is there a stark difference there? In the eastern coast, where if you are say from New York, Maryland, these kind of places, people are very verbally might be rude to you. They will not speak as softly, carefully, gently, in a relaxing manner, and there is a whole reason for them doing that. But anyone who lives there, if I start living there and I'm from the west coast of US, and when I live there I suddenly find it a cultural shock that in west coast everyone is so chill and relaxing. They are not always in the rush to do things. Or if you are from the south of US, even then you will find people from the northern coast, eastern coast, very different from you. They're very abrupt and rash in their talking. But is there a good side to this abrupt rash talking and a bad side to it? And is there a good side even to the people who politely speak with you and a bad side to it? And is there a good side to the people who have a chilled relaxing life in the west coast of California area, and versus a bad side to it? Everything has a good and a bad. And even I have explored less and interacted less with the Seattle as parts of US, so I don't know how people are there over there. And I lived in Utah, which is the Midwest part of US. But because I'm living in some central part of US, the people living in Utah itself are an amalgamation of people from West Coast, East Coast, everywhere. But they are more amalgamation of the people from more of the western side of US, where politeness is respected, easygoing lifestyle is respected, culture is respected, how you interact with each other socially is respected. And all of these foster a way of living in Utah that if you just live in California, just live in Seattle, just live in New York, just live in Florida, just live in Alabama, you will not get. So every part of US gives you a different cultural experience and some good and bad from that cultural experience, right? And I have only explored, I haven't lived in other parts of US, I've only lived in Utah, but I did used to go and visit other places. And I am also a very observational person about different cultures and cultural systems and lifestyle choices and many other things related to health, life and healthcare, all of which impacts how we look at love also while relating to other human beings. Same way in India also, northern parts of India have certain culture, southern parts of India have certain culture, western parts of India have different culture, eastern parts of India have different culture. Someone who lives in the middle of India, like in a state in Madhya Pradesh, will have an amalgamation of all these north, south, east, west cultures. So when people think that a country is only one aspect of people living in that country, is that then actually true about Americans or true about Indians? No. So like that, our life is like that. When we think and go into a relationship with someone, we assume based on our culture, based on our upbringing, based on the people we are living with, that the person that we are dating, they also had the same upbringing. But that is not true. And with these boys, the first one, his upbringing was such where his father had the definitely he had this pattern, whereas I could understand from the way he speaks or how he talks to women, how he respects or disrespects women, that his father also did that to his mother. And now because of which he has a rage in his soul for being criticized, because his father used to criticize his mother on different levels, and he is a byproduct of both these people. So for him, he has both the trauma of feeling oppressed by the father, which the father is doing every time he is abusing verbally the mother. But on the other hand, he also possibly saw all the negative things his mother has done, where to maintain a life where if someone is abusive, what happens to the partner is the partner will develop some manipulative style of living as well. Now this also enrages people. If a man has all the time constantly someone manipulating you, you will have a difficult relationship with them. That's why when with this relationship with this boy, I was not the manipulative kind. I have also had a manipulative parent, but for me the manipulative parent was not the mother, the manipulative parent was the father, because of which my way of looking at things are very different. I am very atypical in terms of women's dealing in life. Like most women do tend to have more manipulative tendencies in their practice of life or in the things they do in life. And if not most women, most people who have grown up with some feminine qualities, if they had abuse and trauma in their life, their feminine nature will lead them to be very toxic feminine in nature and be manipulative in the way in which they think, manipulative in the way in which they react, manipulative in the way in which they respond to another, manipulative in a way in which they function in life. But I was raised in a little bit more masculine oriented family, and I do not, because I was getting manipulated in various levels, I just simply rejected that manipulation, and hence I have a less tendency to manipulate. I understand the value where someone is using the negative trait of manipulation also to influence someone, but if you influence it in the right way, it doesn't become manipulation, it becomes influence, because you can indirectly push someone to do something, that is influence. But I'm a very direct person, I'm not an indirect person. I directly approach and tell people this is what my problem is. But that is a atypical thing for a woman to do, because of which, and if they had heard about my life story, found out about how I approach life, thought and at the thinking level engaged with me, at the emotional level understood my life path journey until the time I met them, they would have understood that I have no intention to manipulate them. I'm directly asking them, do this for me. But now a man who is living in a family where either the man or the woman or both of their parents are engaging in manipulations to get something from the other, and if you have not discerned the difference between what is manipulation, what is directly asking you for help, or if you have not healed yourself and you respond, that's why, to if anyone says do this for me, you consider it as a very difficult thing to do. So do you have to heal that in your personality, that if someone is, because how will you then function as a co-worker, function as a friend, function as a parent, function as a child? If a child is crying, if you become a parent and you have not healed this nature of yours, where if your child is asking, there is two things here. Now if a child is like needing feeding, he is hungry and he is crying, and you understand that the child needs feeding, he's crying because he needs feeding, but you have this emotional trauma from the past where you have developed this skill that if anyone asks me something directly, I will not give it to you. Are you going to be a good parent? What will you become? You will become a narcissistic parent, that even if this person is asking me for love and crying and wants to be held, I am not able to give it to the child. I will deliberately not give it, because these are the kind of toxic patterns that people develop if they don't heal themselves, if they don't understand what they were meant to learn from a toxic parent. If you can learn two things, you can either learn to be exactly like the toxic parent, which is going to be your natural pattern because part of your genetics is like that, but you can also try to overcome this genetic limitation that was placed on you, and try to learn to be more empathetic towards women who are being verbally abused by the spouse, or men who are being emotionally abused by the spouse. If you had that kind of, and I'm assuming this about his parents, but this is how it develops. This is how it developed inside me also, that I directly ask for things because that is the path of least resistance for me. I will ask you, you provide that thing, I will love you and respect you, or say thank you for whatever you have done, or show it in my way that I am thankful to you for having respected what I said. But if you don't respect what I said, which is making me uncomfortable, am I going to be a happy soul? Am I going to be satisfied? Am I going to be able to live happily or function happily with you as a friend, as a co-worker, or as a partner? Right? Because when you meet someone, you're meeting them as a friend, co-worker, partner. Even if you meet them as a stranger, there is a basic code of ethics you have to operate on as humans. But when that basic code of ethics is only off balance, that's when you experience lying, cheating, manipulation, being betrayed in a relationship, because your basic code of ethics is wrong. And those people who were lied to, cheated by their partner, betrayed by their partner, because think about it, many people have watched Friends for many a time, and many men or some people who are the kind like Ross think that it is justifiable that as soon as you broke off with someone, it is okay to go and sleep. How can it be okay if you were really emotionally loving someone, if you were really emotionally caring for someone? People who experience death, when the person who has died in your family is not there with you, you still miss them, you still grieve for them. So if you truly loved your partner, can you even think about going and sleeping with someone else? Think about it. People who do support Ross have something wrong with their mental and emotional perceptions if they don't understand empathetically that even if you were actually broken off with Rachel, that is a toxic pattern or an abusive pattern. That the moment someone says I don't want to talk to you, it means that they are telling you that this relationship is over, that I will never talk to you, or that because I will never talk to you, it is okay for me to go and sleep with any random woman I meet. Why should it be okay for you to sleep with any random? And this Ross Rachel thing is not true simply of man doing it to a woman. Many women also do it. And is that a abusive pattern or is that a healthy pattern? You tell. Is it healthy that if you were heartbroken about your partner, the next day after breaking up with them, if you go and sleep with someone? When the partner is not being abusive to you, when the partner is nice and kind to you, all you had was a fight with them. Was she abusive in any of the things that she was doing? Rachel is a spoiled character. We agree that Rachel is a spoiled character. But she was never abusive to Ross. She was never doing things which were she took 3-4 years or many years after breaking up to go and date someone else. She didn't immediately go and date someone else, and that is the normal pattern everyone who is healthy should have. It is healthy for you that if you are broken up in a relationship, if your spouse, I can understand if Rachel was abusive to Ross or had years and years of abuse, and then Ross goes and sleeps with someone next day or 10 days later. Even then someone will still think 10 days later they will sleep, or 1 month later, or at least 6 months later they will sleep with someone. They will not just as soon as they had a functional problem with their partner, they'll go and sleep with someone. Is Ross ever going to be a stable partner for Rachel if he continues doing that to Rachel? That as soon as there is a conflict, I will just go and access any other woman I find in a relationship, or the other way around. If the woman is very hot, and if Rachel did that to Ross, she would be considered also a bad person if she had done this to Ross, where the next day after breakup she goes and sleeps with someone. In fact, when women do that, women as it is are considered as a pariah if they go and sleep with multiple men. It's not just about just sleeping the next day after breakup, right? Women are already chastised for sleeping with multiple men, so women won't do this. Very rarely women will do it. A woman who is sexually or emotionally abused and traumatized, hasn't been taught good things in life, that woman might do it. But many men do this. They do end up breaking, and as soon as they got the freedom from a relationship, I will go and explore some things. But if you're sitting and exploring life with different partners again and again and again, is anyone going to consider you a quality life partner, or a quality husband material, or a quality potential father? Because women want to marry for all these reasons, right? Most women want to marry for a partnership, for a lifelong partnership. If they don't want children, then also you need a partner who has your back. That as soon as you fight, if they go and sleep with other women, that is not true partner material. As soon as you break up, if they are sitting and thinking where can I get the next supply of sexual energy or anything else that I want, because men want sexual energy, women who are like these men, they will just go and date another person to get something from that guy. I want an expensive date, I want an expensive gift from you, and I will manipulate you to get that. Now this guy, he didn't value the lesson that he was learning from his parent, neither did he value the lesson he learned from me. After me, he dated someone from outside India. He didn't value the lesson from that girl as well, because of which he ended up marrying a girl who completely manipulated him, who also but had strong boundaries. So she, every time he was abusive, she kicked him out of the house, which she should do. If you are going into extreme abuse, you have to be kicked out. Should you be staying in the house where the person, and it doesn't matter if the home is jointly owned by the man and the woman, whichever one is actually being abusive should be kicked out. But that society doesn't allow it. In India, this is not allowed. If a woman says go away from the home, the woman has no power only in her own home. It doesn't matter if she is the daughter, if she is the wife, or if she is the granddaughter, or if she is the grandmother, or whatever. She doesn't hold the power to say that leave the home. That girl, we were living in US and Utah, and that's why because there was domestic violence, she was able to kick the husband out or complain about the husband about this problem. And again, I heard this from a second hand person, but is it true of any other? Even if this was not the truth of their relationship, someone else has given me this story, say this story is entirely false, didn't happen with my ex, say it happened with another random guy, but is it still the core truth of domestic violence? That why will violence escalate, why will violence happen between two people? If you have chosen a bad partner, then only violence will happen. When I was with this person, if it is truth of this guy, when I was with this person, how come it didn't go into physical violence levels? Why didn't it go? Because I stopped it from going into physical violence level. When my boundary was, I'm not going to marry you, I'm not going to have sex with you, I'm not going to live with you if you are not respectful to me. I set that boundary. So when he was verbally abusive, fine, we had a fight. He was verbally fighting with me, I am verbally fighting with him. That is fine with me, because verbally fighting with each other is not a problem zone. But it is only not a problem zone when from that verbal fight you have come to a good resolution to why you are angry with each other, or what is it about the relationship that is bothering each other. If you can't come to that conclusion, then it is a toxic relationship. It is going towards abusive relationship. Now, some people will still continue. I love him, that's why I should continue, which is my perspective too. I love him. How can I let go of the person I love? So let's continue. I continued onwards after breakup also, but I didn't continue in a way where I was okay with living together with him. I didn't want to live together with someone, because obviously when we are having fights and the resolution to the fight is not happening, you shouldn't live together with each other. So I didn't live together. I broke off also for a long span, where I realized I don't want to deal with him. I do not want to keep having these repeated fights with him, where once or twice he was very angry enough to bang a car door or bang a chair. I didn't walk out from him the moment he banged the car door, because I was outdoors. In the midst of a national park, we had that fight. If someone was rational, someone was balanced, someone is caring about you, if you have a problem zone with them, they will try to listen to it. And if not try to listen to it, if at that moment of heated argument you are not able to listen, you will still reflect on what they said. Because of this guy, when the next guy I had met, who I met through family, also abandoned me in the same way as this guy did, I didn't have a fight with that guy, because I learned from my experience. And in that experience, I had the I will say same repeating experience happened from the first relationship to the next guy, which my family had introduced to me for marriage purposes, and the similar situation happened in the same national park of Utah. With the first guy, the car that I drove was a car which was jointly owned with this boyfriend, and I had paid majority of the money. For 2/3 of the money, he had paid 1/3 of the money, because he was, even though in age he was older to me, in the socio-economic status of a student's life, he was 1 year younger to me, so he had less savings. because he was 1 year younger to me as a student of the university, and he had less savings with him. He paid 1/3, I paid 2/3, because I had no problem being a woman that I should pay. He had no problem that a woman is paying more. So in that he was very equitable. He never had any problem when in dates also he's paying, I am paying. We never fought about finances, because it didn't matter that who is paying, or many times I felt that I am paying more, but I'm now realizing he was also paying for the car gas. So let's assume that in equitable paying purposes we were paying similar. So it didn't matter who was paying more. In the car I paid more. Later on he balanced it in a different way, so financially he was not abusive. But where was he abusive? I really felt financially he was very fair, very mostly fair, or didn't hold these misperceptions that women shouldn't be paying and things like that, which is a good thing I learned from him. But which didn't happen directly, but it is a thing that happened in retrospect about what was good in that relationship, what was bad in that relationship, and where he allowed me to pay more. For him it was not a ego issue if I am paying more. But where was his ego coming into the relationship was the fact that every time I am addressing something that is hitting a boundary that I don't want to cross, and it is causing me emotional grief, sexual grief, or whatever it is causing me. If I am trying to address it, he is taking it in the way that I am just wanting to criticize him for his mistakes, which his dad has done likely to his mom, or his mom has done to the dad, and that's why he doesn't like being criticized. But if you don't get criticism or use that constructively, can you ever evolve in life? He also told me all these things, that he will go and sleep with other women to criticize me because I'm not giving him sex. At that time, what was the boundary I said? I said, it's okay with me if you don't date me, let's just be friends then, platonic friends, because we were anyway splitting our dates, right? I'm paying for the movie, he's paying for a pizza, or he is paying for the movies, I'm paying for the pizza, and they were both $5 pizzas or $5 movies. That's all we paid. We were doing very minimal spending on these dates, because we were poor grad students. Our salary was only 17,000 or 19,000 a year. So in that salary in US, you can't afford to spend. You shouldn't be spending more than $5-10 on your dates. Our combined date cost used to be $20 to $25, and the gas money that it took to go there. That's it. That's all we were spending. Or at home we would eat food from outside. When we both didn't want to cook, we would buy some the same standard meals that Americans eat, but being Indian, we were eating more Indo-Chinese food from Indian store, the frozen foods that you get. Sometimes we would eat those frozen foods. So this is how our life was. But even though at the life of a grad student level, we were leading a average life of a grad student, spending wise, internally in the emotional aspects, sexual aspects, compatibility aspects of the relationship, it was fracturing and fragmenting. Now to the outside person it looks like, oh, they are having a good relationship, but am I really having a good relationship if every time I am communicating with someone I'm not able to communicate with them? Am I having a good relationship if minor communication to major communication is resulting in some argument? Is it a good relationship? No. That's why even though how much ever depth of emotion I feel, my heart is being tugged by them, I love them, there is a beautiful sexual energy, there is a potential for a good relationship, but it can't manifest into a real good relationship if you don't communicate the right ways with each other. Or when you are communicating, if my direct approach doesn't work for this guy, it will never work with this guy. Because can I change my core personality of saying directly, this is my problem zone? And when I have a problem, I'm not saying it the first time you're doing it, second time you're doing it. I am telling you after the 10th time or the 4th time or the 5th time, or the time when you breached a boundary that you promised that you will not breach. That's when I'm saying something. Now he is feeling guilty that he has breached the boundary. He also knows he breached a sexual boundary. If I said that I will only kiss you, I don't want anything else, but he is going beyond kissing. It is a breach of a boundary. If I am allowing second base but he wants to go to fourth base, again it is a breach of boundary. Or even if in second base, third base, he wants to do something nasty sexually, which he has learned from porn and other nasty ways in which men learn about having sex with women. They are all disrespectful ways of having sex, be it a man learning it or a woman learning it. If you want to live in that lowest vibration nasty way of holding sex, you cannot have a good way of having sex with someone. If you cannot have a good way of sex with someone, you will not feel internally nice about yourself. And if you know this about yourself, you will be able to say no. This is something many women don't know how to say no, but I learned how to say no because of the fact that the way I was raised. In my life, my mother never protested anything that was going wrong in her life, never spoke up what was going wrong in her life. So from her I learned this, that indirectly, that if you don't speak up, people will continue abusing you. So I spoke up. The abuse may not have stopped, but at least my voicing the fact that the abuse is happening, because abuse didn't stop. It's not that. So that's why my mother didn't say anything, because her abuse was also not stopping. So for her abuse wasn't stopping. No one was understanding her abuse. That's why she shut down. But I had at least a voice to say. That's why I was saying, and I said it in the places where the person did give me voice. So I'm not, he is definitely a better person than my father, who doesn't even allow me the voice to speak or anything. So was he a better quality person than my father? Yes. That's why I still loved him for many years. But even though he was a better quality person, again the communication block of many men with women is this, or many women also with men, if they have been spoiled in their upbringing, is this. And why am I saying people are spoiled or men are spoiled? Because men are treasured by society as the role models for society, as the blue-eyed boys of Indian culture. So if you have boys, and if you are handsome looking boy, if you're a smart boy, if you are a funny boy, if you are a charming boy, all these means that in Indian culture or in general in the world, if you have all these qualities, everyone will appreciate you, everyone will love you, everyone will instantly fall in love with you. But even though they are falling in love, loving you, finding you attractive, being enamored by you, you may have some sexual energy, high powerful sexual energy that causes you to attract many women also. Whatever you qualities you possess which makes you magnetic to women, if you aren't respectful to them within the relationship, does your magnetism matter? That's why even though I looked ugly and I felt insecure also, because he made me feel insecure, I didn't let that insecurity cause me to just devalue myself simply because he thinks he has more power over me. Him thinking he has more power doesn't actually give him the power to abuse me sexually in any way that breaches my boundaries. Him thinking that if he leaves me, there are 10 more girls who will be willing to date me. Again, him thinking and saying that to me doesn't mean that he has the power to coerce me into having sex. Many men do that. They will use these tactics. They will date women who are uglier than them. They will date women who are less good looking than them. They will date women who are in their eyes less worthy in some ways. They might not be as smart as them. They might not be as emotionally intelligent as them. They might not be as sexually informative about them. Whatever is their reason for thinking, I know more, this person doesn't know more. Fine, I don't know more in the thing that you know more. But I also know something, that's why I was sent into your life, and you also know something, that's why you were sent in my life. I learned my experiences from these people, even if they didn't speak up, but whatever their purpose was, and which is what karmic relationships are as well, or toxic relationships or abusive relationships are in a twin flame journey. When you have a karmic, they will mistreat you in every kind of way possible. They will physically abuse you, psychologically abuse you, emotionally abuse you, socially abuse you, financially abuse you, or they will do everything in a small manner such that you can't even express to people that how you are getting abused, because you're not falling in the larger scale of abuse. And should you wait to become a victim, or should you leave if you are seeing these signs with someone? You shouldn't wait to become a victim, right? Because his wife waited to be a victim. She married him. There were red flags for both of them, but also they married each other. After the red flags also they married each other. That is their problem. But the red flags were, why the red flag which was also a red flag with me didn't become a red flag with her. She was ready to give him sex. She was ready to play his mental games about sex. This guy wanted to play mental games related to sex, which I didn't want to play with anyone. As I told you, I came from a family where I was getting manipulated in many ways, because of which if someone manipulates me, I instantly know it. I don't want to engage in it. If it is which is a real manipulation. I'm not talking about some people who have all these autistic disorders I saw online, who think someone is manipulating them when there is no manipulation present. That is their mental illness. They're completely socially and mentally ill and shouldn't be allowed to be functional in society in some ways. But they are functional in society, living life, breezily living life. Why? Because breeziness has been given a worth and value that people who are in pain have not been given worth and value. But pain also has value, breeziness also has value. You been breezily denying and setting boundary that I don't want to do this without keeping consideration for the other's needs makes you a toxic, narcissistic person or a sociopathic person too in some ways. But these people are now encouraged to, I don't know what is going on with those people, I don't want to talk about them, but they are the kind of people who will have completely callous attitude towards even something normal that everyone does, which is what it was. It is normal for a woman or a man to express their need that if I don't want to be fourth base, I don't want a relationship with fourth base involved or sex involved in it. And I didn't tell him, if when he threatened that he wants to sleep with others, he had the open discussion with me where I told him, I'm ready that if you want to explore sexual life with someone, find a sexual life exploring partner with you. That is not wrong. But if my mindset is not to be a sexual life exploring partner with you at this stage, and your mindset is you want that in your relationship, our paths are not merging, so I'm okay with you not dating me. That's why also we broke up. Not just after fight, but after having these discussions also we broke up, because our paths are not merging. I want sex, he wants sex, I don't want sex. He wants to explore sex in any way possible without having sex. I still don't want that also, because it is causing some social problem, emotional problem, disrespect problem, where I first want the respect and this aspect of my personality. At that time I didn't know what I was, but now this has been categorized as something called demisexuality. Demisexuality means you want to have sex, or you can engage in sex only if many criteria related to emotional needs are met by your partner. If emotionally they have not connected with you, you do not want to have sex with them. And I will literally tell you, he was my most powerful teaching about sex, because apart from him, very rarely have I found anyone with whom I have actually felt like having sex, because emotionally I was connected to him. But I was also, even though I was emotionally connected, sexually wanting to have sex with him not being emotionally connected with me, him not respecting me for who I am, was the reason why I did not engage in sex with him. So, but it at least showed me, not at that point that I am a demisexual, but now I realize it once I heard the term demisexuality 20 years, 15 years after I had that experience. So if you are having these kind of experiences in your significant other relationships, or in a person whom you are dating, where all they want from you is sex, should women and men learn to respect themselves and understand that sex is only the one basic level of living with another human being, which, because the earth is now overpopulated, sex is not the paradigm of living anymore for many people. It is not going to be a paradigm anymore. because on a overpopulated earth, if people continue to have just sex in their relationship and nothing else in their relationship, the population explosion will kill people on earth. So which is the better alternative? Should you have a population explosion in on earth, or should you have good relationships where having a child is a well thought out, well planned thing? That is why many modern marriages also have these boundaries in the marriages, that we will not have kids for first 2-3 years of marriage. That is why also modern marriages are fracturing, where if you are dating someone for even 5 or 10 years and you are broken up with them, there is a necessity for breakup. Because if you didn't procreate also with them, or even if you did procreate, if they are not setting up the right circumstances for a good family life to sustain, if they and you collectively can't manage it, should you break up, or should you stay miserable and cause the next generation of your family to be as abusive as you were abused, or as your relationship was abusive? Because it gets worse and worse in the next generation, and it can only get like how it gets better and better in a next generation if good values, good things are taught in a family. It also on the opposite spectrum gets worse and worse for those families where if the father was mildly abusive, the child can become more abusive, or if the father was very abusive, the child has the potential to be mildly abusive. But then they have to also realize, if I am mildly abusive, I can't be with partner who escalates the same level of abuse in me as that I suffered through my parents. Which is why I rejected all these boyfriends, and if I didn't rejected, when they rejected me, I was okay to let them go, because many a times I was rejecting them in the words I was saying to them, that this is a troublesome zone. If we can work through it, then I won't reject you. But if we were not able to work through it, I was slowly distancing myself from them. While I was distancing myself from them, they were also distancing themselves from me. So they were not the Ross Rachel kind of a relationship where as soon as we broke up, they went and dated someone, they went and slept with someone. But both these guys of the first video that I talked about, they both slept with women in the breakup period, which was again okay with me, because I'm not an unreasonable female. If after 2 months or 3 months of breakup, if you're sleeping with someone, that is not the problem zone. But you, after having slept with someone, if you don't tell me that, while I am still thinking that there is maybe still a potential to work things through, that is the betrayal. Then the betrayal is not that you slept, because that betrayal only is applicable when you're living with someone continuously, when you're married to someone continuously, or when you did break up but it was immediately the next day or a week after you broke up. If you did this, it is a intense betrayal. Because if it is that easy for you to just simply go from one woman to the other, what value do you place in that woman then as a potential or any kind of life partnership? Is there any value? Do you, the day your mother dies, the day your father dies, the day your grandparents die, do you immediately start replacing them with another grandparent? The day your pet dies, do you replace them with another pet? You can't replace that same pet, same parent, same grandparent for 10, 20, 30 years of your life. Universe will send you paternal guidances. If your parent has died, universe will send you maternal guide. My mom died, so it's not that I wasn't searching for that mom relationship in another person. But the moment that she died, does it stop her from becoming my mother? Same way, the moment your relationship breaks up, it shouldn't stop you from respecting that person. Even at least for a few months or weeks after you have broken up, you should be respecting and honoring the fact that you considered this person as a potential life partner. But the ones who don't honor and respect women, who don't honor and respect the person they were dating, they don't care. The next day they will be easily seeing someone else. So You should have some respectful time frame, 1 month, 2 month, if you were really in a deeply loving relationship. If you weren't really in a deeply loving relationship where slowly the relationship was fracturing, even then going next day to go and date someone is callous in and a kind of unempathetic behavior that is a mental and social health problem. Now, what will you do as a parent if your child cries and tells you I hate you and I don't love you and blah 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 and leaves you, and will you be a forgiving father to them? Jesus Christ, when he went on his meditation journey and all his journey of his life, where he went to the east to learn many Eastern principles, he was not there being raised by Mary and Joseph for some part of his teenage or early youth years. In those youth years, when he was not present with his parents, did Mary and Joseph stop loving Jesus when he came back? He may not have had fights, but we don't know. Maybe he did have fights also with his parents. A person doesn't become compassionate the day he is born on earth. A person has a compassionate soul the day he is born on earth. But a person who develops the kind of maturity that Jesus Christ developed about humanity can't develop it just by being good in life. He had also had to experience a lot of bad of life, a lot of cruelties in life, a lot of things he might, or some things he might have done wrong in his life, for him to get the realization where he's going wrong and where he should realign himself. That is how you learn. We make mistakes, but from your mistakes, if you don't learn, you keep going on the path of mistakes. But if you did learn from your mistakes with a past partner, you will be different. So what was I different with my first boyfriend? There was an instant where we went on a trek. In that trek, I didn't know swimming. The water currents in that river looked very deep to me. So I told him I can't go further. I don't want to go further. But he's like, no, let's go a little bit more. So I went a little bit further than what I wanted to go. I went another 10 minutes, 15 minutes ahead with him. Then when the currents were really scaring me, I said, I don't want to go. So he's like, okay, I'll come back in 15 minutes. But he didn't come back in 15 minutes. And the thing is, before that, one day he had abandoned me in the middle of a road, where in the middle of a night, at 10 o'clock in the night, he didn't pick up my phone, he didn't come to pick me, he didn't care that I am stranded in the middle of the road simply because of a fight. And if a bus hadn't come that night, I didn't have enough money to even go back home. I was going to walk back home, which was a 45 minute, no, in the bus ride plus train ride itself, it is about a 45 minutes ride, while driving wise it's only a 10 minutes drive. But if I take a bus and a train, it is almost a 45 minutes to 1 hour journey back to my home, with walking, bus, train, and again walking involved. And if those buses hadn't come, if he could have come back in 10 minutes, what is so bad about him? What is so bad about someone fighting with you that you can't come back and pick them up in the car? He didn't do that. So he didn't do that. He didn't come back. He didn't pick up my calls. The whole night he didn't pick up my calls when I had my books or other things in his car, that not just his car, it was actually our car. Despite that, he had the audacity and the thing to consider that his, to not even come back, considering this, that this is jointly owned by us. This is the level of masculinity that is going on in the world currently, where you jointly own things with the woman and you consider it as your property, or the woman pays for it. Even then, just because the society thinks the man is paying, the man thinks he has power over that thing. I have given him the power, yes, but he is also, there is a power that I have given him, but there is a power he can also use to understand that fairness dictates that this car being both of ours, he should come back. Just for that reason, he couldn't do even that. So he had stranded me one time in the middle of the night at 10 o'clock. So even though that day we didn't have any fights, will that fear be there in my heart that after 15 minutes, if he doesn't come back? then more than that, it is not about just the fear that he didn't come back. Now the question is, say he has come back, but the river is wide, I didn't observe it, I'm not a very mindful and observant person, I wasn't a mindful and observant person at that age. So even if he came back and if he missed seeing me, that is also a problem. Because why was it a problem? I didn't have the keys to the car I jointly owned, I had left the keys inside the car. I also didn't have, so if I was feeling hot, if I was feeling sick, if I was not sure whether he's coming back or he's going to take 1 hour to come back, if I want to even cool down and go and get a drink of water which is there in my car, if I even want to just simply go back and sit in the car, I can't do that. So all these things when led me to fight with him, he was not ready to see my perspective at all. Can you live with a person or have merged lives with a person who doesn't understand the danger he has put a woman in the middle of a national park, in the middle of the day when it is hot sun filled day? You're not caring for your partner, you're not caring for the fact that they don't have the keys to the car. So if I even want to go back, I can't go back, there's no point in going back. If I stay there also, my blood pressure is rising because the streams was making me scared because I don't know swimming. There were many other things, and he didn't come back in 5 minutes, and these 5 minutes, he is the kind of person who gets involved in whatever he is doing. That is fine if you're doing it and work, but if you do it on a casual trip with someone where you are responsible for that person as they are responsible for you. So say he has an accident now, even if he knows swimming, and he doesn't come back, is it a panic zone? So all these things went through my mind, and yes, it is a panic attack possibly, but is it also a thing that is rational of me to fear based on the patterns he has shown in the past? So am I being the illogical one, or is he being the illogical one if he continuously abuses something that is jointly owned, if he continuously breaks promises, where if he is saying that he's coming back in 15 minutes, he's not able to even come back in 45 minutes or 1 hour? Is that a problem zone, or I should be very happy and satisfied with this person? You imagine if you are married to someone, your child is in distress, you ask your husband, go and get this medicine because this child needs this medicine right now. Will you even be that partner? One day he is moody, one day he is not moody, one day he is fine talking with you, but as soon as and say if you had said it to him in a shouting manner, because it is urgent, will you be shouting? Say your child needs an EpiPen, he is undergoing anaphylactic shock for which you need immediate intervention, and you don't have a EpiPen, or the EpiPen you gave didn't work. All these, and I'm saying all these things, why? Because I have allergies now, which now at that point of time I didn't know I have allergies, I didn't know I could go into anaphylaxis, I didn't know I could have a health danger in the future, 10 years 20 years down the line. But does universe and God know that in the future that is a potential for me? So will universe and God save me from a relationship where the guy is not simply able to understand if I raise my voice that he has a problem with that? Because when you are panicking, then also you will raise your voice. When your life is in threat, then also you will raise your voice. I was panicking, I was raising my voice because I didn't have the keys to the car. I was panicking because if he runs away again like previous time, now I am in a place which is 5 hours away via car. I was panicking because I don't have money with me. I left everything in the car, except for I don't even remember if I had phone. I think I didn't even have the phone. Everything I left because I trusted this guy. Everything was there in the car. I might have just had a phone, and it was an older Nokia phone at that time. So I had it wasn't a smartphone. So I had simply a phone. I didn't even have a camera. Maybe I had a camera. No, I don't think I had a camera also at that time. I don't remember. It might have been just a camera and a phone that I carried with me. That's all I had. And because it's a national park, phones don't work in a national park. So if I missed him anywhere, if he came back also, and I didn't see him anywhere, he said he's coming in 15 minutes. He didn't come in 15 minutes. He said he will. I told him I am fearful of this water.
That also doesn't matter to him. I continued despite my fear as much possible as I could. Still, he didn't come back. And when he did come back, it was half an hour later, 45 minutes later. Why shouldn't I panic when he had abandoned me in the past? So it is not illogical when a woman fights with a man. It is not illogical. And knowing now my personal health status that currently I have in my life, if this person was my life partner and had continued to be my life partner, he would never understand when I am in panic, when I am going near health distress, that I need help. He will not understand the difference between a panicking person, a person who you have traumatized, a person with whom you are simply having an argument. These three things, discernment, he didn't develop in a relationship at all. But as a consequence of someone who has left me for a few minutes, what happened with me in my next person's interaction, where that person was selected by my parents but he was not ready to marry immediately, so he said we should interact a couple of times. So with that person, when the second interaction happened in my state, he came to visit me in Utah and we went to the same national park. And now in this national park, this guy wanted to climb somewhere, a climb which I don't have the physical capacity to do. I didn't have the right shoes to do. I am also afraid of heights. So, and that hike is the Angel's Landings hike, which is one of the toughest hikes in Utah. And in that also, it takes 4 hours just simply to go at the base level of the Angel's Landing hike. So that 4 hours of hike, because I also now I know I have a heart problem which causes me to take lot of breaks when climbing and doing climbing activities. I didn't know that when I was in my 20s. Now I know in my 40s, when I had a cardiac problem. And even though, despite that anomaly showing up, and in the 20 years before I found that I had that cardiac problem, everything in my life pointed to me having some cardiac health problem. Despite that, that's why I have always been careful when I'm climbing. If my heart rate is going up in such a way I can't breathe, I stop and take breaks while climbing big hikes. And I have done Angel's Landing hike, I have done Mount Olympic hike with friends, I have done smaller hikes with friends in Utah, but only once every 3-4 years, because I understand that I don't have the physical health status. And that also I realized only after doing some big hikes in Utah. But while I went on this hike, while I was taking breaks while doing this it is not 4 hours for everyone, but for us it was a 4-hour hike. For some people who are physically fit, it is maybe a 2-hour hike to just go to the landing itself, landing's base part. So now in that landing's base part, this person just went ahead and climbed. And because I had the first fight with the first person who I saw, I realized by then that this is how men are. And it's not that I judged men for doing this, but I realized that if a man is very busy having entertainment of his life, he doesn't care about the woman as besides him. Not all men do that, because I have had friends who don't do this to their girlfriends or to their wives who are less physically fit than them. So, but there are men who do this, because I have also gone on hikes with friends who are much more physically fit and agile. But say I'm going on a group hike, when 10 people are going on a hike, the weakest one is slowing down everyone, the strongest ones are going ahead. But there are those who are in the middle level who understand you are having, even if they don't know your health status, they just have the compassion that you are slow, so they move along with you when you are slow. They allow you to be slow, or they just keep you company seeing that you are struggling. But so I have had group hikes also with people who allowed me to be me, didn't push me to go where I shouldn't go. Now But does it push you when you are just going in a two-person partnership with someone where the intent of that partnership itself is marriage? It does matter, doesn't it? If you have a partner who doesn't understand your limitations, will not be ready to wait for you for your limitations, or not take a journey where you can't go. So this person went on the hike. Now, I waited there also. This time, because of the first relationship, again, I had developed the patience to wait for 1 hour. 1 hour I was sitting. There was another girl whose family also went, but that girl has a small child with her. Girl meaning some lady who had a small child with her, may not have been a girl, but that lady, when she went ahead, her family went ahead, she waited for her family. Within 1 hour, her family also came back, because see, they are family, they understand that you should come back sooner than later. So they actually came back within 15-20 minutes of going. They didn't go the whole way. They realized that it is not worth it, maybe whatever was the reason. Her family came back, even though 2-3 members of her family had gone up. They all came back within half an hour and they left. And Angel's Landings takes long time. It doesn't take half an hour to do the whole trek. Now this guy didn't come back for an hour. I was lonely for majority of the half the time. There was this girl, half the time there was no one. But because I had my own phone now, I was the one who was driving the car. This time it was my car that had been taken. I was a different car. I owned the car. I had the keys. I had also this guy was not someone chosen by me. These are all these factors, and I had this past experience. All of these influenced how I behaved with him. I didn't have any resentment that he's going ahead and doing it, but it was definitely my red flag that if that guy did it, I had a fight with him. But this is a red flag that if you're going, you are not caring about the person you're going with, you shouldn't be with that person as a partner. So my red flag was fixed. Then the next thing was, the second red flag was, I tried to do something here where I was like, I will try to conquer my fear, because last time I couldn't conquer my fear, so I wanted to conquer my fear. There I had a fear of swimming. Here I have a fear of climbing. So in the fear of climbing, swimming can't be learnt immediately in that area, but climbing can still be done if you know a little bit of climbing, or if you can do it slowly, which is what I did. I literally, there was chains there in this Angel's Landing, and in the first area where there is a turnout, until there I climbed. It was a painful climb because I'm not a climber. It was a painful climb because I was fearful of looking down. It was a painful thing to do because I didn't have good shoes to climb, but I still climbed it because I wanted to try it out. Like, if I have come 4 hours up till here, let me try it out while I'm anyways waiting for someone. What will I do waiting and whiling away my time? I have looked at the scenery. I took pictures of the scenery from where I was. I sat and spoke with strangers. I could have meditated, but at that time I was not the meditating sort, so I didn't meditate. I decided I will climb and try this out because I saw the chains. I saw other people climbing. They said you can climb with the chains. So I was encouraged by other people to also try that climbing. So looking at that, I was like, okay, let me try. And it was a slow climb, but it was worth the climb for me because I attempted something that pushed me out of my comfort zone. But as soon as I went to that first landing, I realized there was a wind blowing that day. There were other people, when they were coming down, they said that the wind speeds are high, so climbing is not recommended right now. So there were people who were coming down and going back. Now, while coming down was more arduous for me because of the slippery shoe, because while going up, I was looking mostly at the mountain, sticking my body closer to the mountain. While climbing down, you are looking down. So my vertigo levels were really high. So it took me, like, if it took me 20-30 minutes to climb, it took me another 30-40 minutes to climb down. And this, while I was climbing down, near almost the end of climbing down, that is when this guy came back. And again, it was like, so essentially, for if I had not climbed, I would have been alone for almost 2.5 hours. So can you trust the person who is doing this where they are ready to leave you and let go of you when you are thinking of marrying them? Should you marry such a guy? So even if I didn't date him, if even if I only had 3 meetings with him for the purpose of which looked like dates, but it's not really. To me, it is not a date. To me, it is just meeting some stranger which my family has fixed me to meet, and I don't know how he took it. But even though it was a kind of sort of date or whatever, in such hikes and such trips, you understand the nature of the person you are with, and when that nature is not compatible with you, should you go ahead in a life journey with people like that? No, right? So these are all the examples. He was also a karmic lesson, that's why. But via a experience I'm learning how they are, via the words I'm learning how they are, via the experience and the words I'm learning how they are not compatible or mature enough to understand what life with a partner should mean. Will they mature 10 years later? I don't know. Are they going to be a different people? I don't know. But if you don't even have the compassion to see this person is weaker than me, what is the point of a man being stronger than you? What is the point? This guy was physically stronger than me. There was another guy who was intellectually stronger than me. Whatever strength you have, the reason why, if the other person is considered, there is nothing wrong in considering women the weaker sex. Physically, yes, some women are weaker, but emotionally or in other ways they are stronger. But you have to value, right? You have to value what is weak in your partner, what is strong in your partner. You have to value what is weak in you, what is strong in you. And you have to also understand, with their weakness, can you live with them? Without their weakness, can you live with them? These all guys, these 3 guys now that I have mentioned in these stories, they are, and these are all real life experiences that I have experienced with men. If they are men like this, should I become an independent woman, or should I continue relying on these kind of men to become my life partner? Are these men deserving of being a life partner with someone who is adjusting, someone who is understanding, someone who is ready to even force some of her boundaries for you? I forced my boundaries for many of these men, but none of them were ready to push their own boundaries, because pushing your boundaries is not the problem is when you have pushed your boundary, the other person also has to push their boundaries to become and merge with you. If they are not ready to do it, not willing to do it, not capable of even understanding where you have pushed yourself, they can't be your life partner, because then you will be constantly exhausted with them. And I've lived with not these exhausting people just in my one-on-one interaction with men that I thought of marrying, but I have also lived like this with many family members who don't understand my boundaries. They don't even accept the fact that I have a cardiac problem now, even though everything in my report also shows I have a cardiac problem. Everything in my life history for the 20 years of my adult 25 years where I have mindfully observed my cardiac health. Why? Because I used to work out in the gym also, where also one time only one person noticed that I had a cardiac problem, and some strangers noticed that I had a cardiac problem. One gym trainer, he tried to push me to do some cardiac exercises that for him is normal, that he pushes all his trainees to do in the gym. It's normal for him. Like if a person is saying no, I can't do it, the trainer will push you. That is a normal standard protocol, because many people don't want to push their limits. But with me, that was not the case. My heart was really showing some problems. He looked at me, how when he was pushing me, I can't do it. The way I showed the symptoms of whatever was stressing my heart, he immediately stopped that exercise for me. Why? Because he was a compassionate soul, understanding soul, understands that even though he has trained maybe at least 15, 20, 30 students before me, whatever number, 100 students, whatever number he had trained before me, even in his experience, if all of those students never had problems with being pushed when he pushed their limits, and one student is having a problem, compassion dictates that you listen to the person who is having a problem and actually see them how they are in front of you, not perceive them based on the track record of other students that you have had. He was a compassionate trainer, compassionate teacher. That's why he understood my limitation, and never after that date did he push me to do exercises when I am telling him that these are not the exercises I can do, because I just don't have a weakened cardiac system, I also have a weakened bone health. There were things where as a trainer he wanted to push me to do wrist exercises, knee exercises, which were painful for me because I come from a family where I didn't get good nutrition in my family life. And then when I was dieting, because someone teased me about my weight, many people teased me about my weight all through my life, because of that I developed also eating habits that were not balanced in nutrition. So in my other website I have also posted about me having cancer or going to near cancer levels. Near cancer levels doesn't develop in a person's system if you are eating healthy balanced diet, or if in your physical circumstances, environmental circumstances, social relationships, you have the right people, right food, right circumstances to help you lead a good life. When any of these or all of these are missing, that is when someone can have cardiac problems to cancer problems to bone health deterioration problems for decades of their life. Outwardly they can look healthy, but inwardly they are not healthy because there are many health unsupportive factors in their life. So now coming back to the video about twin flames and relationships and toxic relationships, if you are with these kind of partners, these kind of family, and you want to stay away from these partners and these family, you should do it. Because if you want to be fitter than how you are with them, or if when you are with them they don't understand your fitness level and they will not match you to your fitness level, they are not competent family members, they are not competent to be called as family, they are not competent to be classified as life partners. You just shouldn't be with these people. And the level at which you should or shouldn't be depends on your status of health. When I was still physically fitter when I was in my 20s and I'm in my 40s, but mentally I have become stronger and stronger from all these negative experiences of my life. That's why even though I'm at a level where many people in my family died from it, I am still not dead. I also have education related to health. That's why I am not dead. But I have life experience related to health as well. And love is a component of health. So if you want to have a good divine partnership with a partner, be it in a twin flame relationship, divine counterpart, or soulmate relationship, you have to find those complementary people. You can't go and keep dating people or keep meeting people who are simply incapable of merging lives the right way with you. Because there's nothing wrong if some human being has an emotional problem when they get triggered about something emotionally, they get triggered about something sexually, they have a physical fitness health problem where they can't eat something, they have a physical health problem where they can't climb somewhere, swim somewhere. Whatever is your problem, some of it is fixable, some of it can be about pushing your boundaries, but some of it is also about another person who is stronger than you, not to allow you to push your boundaries such that you fall sick, not to protect you from not becoming sick, to help you when you are sick from recovering from your sickness. That is what a true protector is, true caregiver is, true lover is, true life mate is, true family is. And if you're not getting any of these from your spouse, partner, even in your family life you're not getting it, you have to get out of those lives. You must not stay with people who don't understand when you are sick, who don't understand when you are sick that you need healing, who when you are sick sometimes add to your sickness. You can't live with those people. And I have multiple people like that in my life. That's why in my 40s I have cancer, when I could have had zero cancer also. I could have had zero diseases also. Anyone else who has been raised in the same life circumstances as me, but they had everything that supports their health versus the lack of things that were there in my life that deteriorated my health. some of which were my personal choices, some of which were outside my control choices. The things that are in my personal control, I have to take agency and power, right? It is in my control that I say no to these boys as soon as they have said no to me. It is in my control to continue saying no to these same personality types if I meet them again, right? Because every time, then that is the purpose of karmic relationships and false twin flames and catalysts, that every time you meet someone who doesn't understand and perceive what is needed effortlessly to be with you, and you don't understand what is needed to effortlessly be with them, or even if you are effortlessly trying to merge with them, they are not effortlessly ready to merge with you, should say no to those partnerships, even if they have been told to you that they are your twin flames, or even if they have been told to you by someone that this is your divine counterpart. A divine counterpart and a twin flame becomes a divine partner worthy level of partner only when they can effortlessly merge with you and you can effortlessly merge with them. Until then, if you merge with them, you will fall sick, you will have diseases, you will, and it doesn't matter whether they were divine potential of a partner or whether they were actual twin flames or whether they were false twin flames. The label of love doesn't matter. What matters is what did that love in when in the relationship bring out in your life, and what did that do to you and change you in a right way. If it has changed you in the right way, that relationship's love doesn't go away, experience doesn't go away. But even if they have changed you in the right way because of you, then is it you that you should value, or the person who changed you you should value? You should value you, right? These boys changed me, but are any of these boys the right relationship for me? Should I be in any time, if any of them come back again, even now in my life, should I try to be with them or should I say no to them? Like that, you have to discern. When a twin flame comes back, when you are heartbroken from a relationship, should you be with that partner or should you say no? Cultivate that discernment. For cultivating that discernment and of your health and love life and social life and everything related to your life, because a loving partnership will enhance or ruin everything about you. And ruin doesn't mean the mechanical social ruin that people think about. A partner can bring ruin to you in a way that you lose your friends, or you lose your money, or you lose your social status, because they might be poor, you might be super rich. But is that what makes a relationship worthwhile, or what makes a relationship worthwhile? You have to understand, because twin flames are like that. They are born in socio-economic disparities related circumstances. So one will have a lot of money, the other may not have any money at all, but they will have a lot of education. If you are a twin flame like that, you have to understand, will this person, is he capable of building and merging lives, or is he only going to waste away your life not understanding anything good about you simply because they are richer than you, smarter than you, sexier than you, hotter than you, stronger than you, cleverer than you, right? If they are all these things, you are still somewhere something than him, but him or her, because this can be any gender related. But if you don't value yourself and the partner doesn't value what is good about him and also bad about him, you can never be with someone who will see your good and bad and actually understand what is the value of the good and bad, because everyone's good and bad has some value, and that value comes up in how you interact with each other, what you build with each other, what you do with the good that you have, what you do with the bad that you should shed. And a partner who is your right balancing partner will always tell you to shed that which should be shed. But if they don't tell you, show you, teach you how to shed it, but if you're not teachable, if you're not learning, if you're not shedding, if you're continuing on the toxic patterns that make life harmful for one or both, will you have breakups in your relationship? And should you have those breakups? because sometimes the toxicity arises from two wrong people being with each other. Sometimes the toxicity arises with two right people also being with each other, but they are not right for each other. And sometimes the toxicity arises because two people are just simply in a mental framework or understanding framework of life, where they don't understand that from what is negative about them and what needs to change in their negativity. I changed, my patience level increased, my level tolerance level increased, but along with patience level and tolerance level, my level of abuse also increased from people, until I said no. Now I have to say no to abusive people also, because I have attracted many abusive people also in my life continuously as a result of the patience that I have. I have a lot of patience, but I have a lot of anger also when someone has breached my patience. And these both qualities I developed from my parents only, because one of my parents had a lot of patience but never expressed anger in the right way. The other person always continuously expressed anger but never showed patience to develop the right, meaningful middle life paths possible. But I see that I can do that, but I can't do it with someone who doesn't see it in the likewise way, do it in the likewise way with me, in a aligned way for each other, which is what a twin flame journey is about. Until you become that, you will not attract that. Until you also don't reject that which isn't what is right for you, you will again not open the doors towards a partnership with someone who will rightfully balance you, rightfully align with you, and you will rightfully balance and align with them. I hope this was meaningful. This were still some trauma points for me, that's why I cried. But this is also part of the healing journey in a twin flame or any kind of love experience that you are having in your life, where you're searching for the right love. You have to go through the pain of all the things which were the opposite of love, and you have to acknowledge that pain also. You shouldn't shut down that pain. It is very important to acknowledge that the grief is needed for you, the cry is needed for your soul, to understand that this is not the person who can ever caretake me in any way that is right for me, or who with whom I will have any value, because they will just simply be smirking along, laughing along, joyfully passing you when you are in distress and grief. I literally had with my soulmate like partnership. I went to a trip where I was having physical health distress. Me and another boy, while coming down, our water was all gone. We both were in great physical distress. And out of this whole group of friends that we went with, only one person had the compassion to understand our distress and come back with the water, even though he was tired. He pushed himself, because he was the fittest also possibly amongst them, to come back to give us some water, because he saw we were struggling and he had the capacity to come back. That's why he came back. The others, they saw we were struggling, but they didn't have the capacity to come back. Neither they, even if they did have the capacity to come back, they were not willing to come back to help their own friends in distress. Now, should those people be your friends then? That day, after that experience, I realized I went on a hard trek. I shouldn't have gone in this hard trek of Olympic or Olympus trek. I forget the exact name of this trek. But I realized these are the people I cannot go on a trek with. Firstly, because this kind of trek also I can't go on. This kind of trek is absolutely not something my heart can take or body can take. Even though at a time before going on this trek, I used to continuously go to the gym or go for a Zumba class at least for half an hour, 3-4 days in a week. Despite going continuously to the gym or a Zumba class for not half an hour, maybe like 45 minutes of some physical activity oriented classes that I was doing, despite that my heart was in poor health from multiple reasons. But these hard treks I can't do. If I do hard treks, I will have to be with people who are either ready to stop with me or ready to run with me when the heat is, because I have heat related problems also in my health, which stems from a thyroid related problem. Anyways, there's a lot of health problems. I am like a mass of healthcare problems, the kind of healthcare problems which I only realized slowly over time, which developed also in my body slowly over time. But because I'm a healthcare provider and practitioner of the past, I also understand deeply where my health was deteriorating, why it was deteriorating, and in the present I want to teach people about where you have control about your health, where you shouldn't give away your entire control to a doctor or a family or a therapist if they are not the right doctor, therapist, family for you, and your instincts are screaming these are not the right places to get the therapy. Go away from them. You can't be in a place where you don't get the right healing or the right treatment. And about medicine I will make a next video. But about love is also a form of healing. Love should be healing to you. If your partnership with someone doesn't heal you, doesn't heal them, or both, you are in the wrong partnership. And you should reflect on how to get away from those partnerships, as well as what thinking patterns and living patterns and lifestyle choices in you cause you to become a wrongful partner for someone, or you are simply just not meant to be a partner with them because their life journey and your life journey is different. One of these persons wants to become a social climber, that's why he was so attracted to climbing. Another person wants to be the socially popular person, that's why he is okay with group activities, but in a group activity he doesn't know how to sustain and be a good boyfriend in any way. One of these people wants to why was he also attracted to swimming and going through the canyons in the river canyon trek. It's a river sidewalk or something it is called in Zions. Why was he ready to do that? Because for him exploring life and investigating things in life is a passion, and exploring anything that is not come into his realm of experience he wants to explore, which is fine. But then he needs an explorer partner. If I am physically sick, do you think God has made me physically sick to be an explorer partner, or someone who has to deeply analyze about health? I am in the right profession. What I did in my as my profession all through my life, even now what I'm doing when I'm not professionally active, I've still been doing it, both because a woman is also designed to not simply be a professionally a healthcare practitioner, but in her home life also you can practice many healthcare. You should be practicing many healthcare oriented practices in your home life. And one key thing in the home life or in work life healthcare practice or in love life healthcare practice, you have to have the right mindset. You have to understand when someone doesn't have the right mindset to be with you, when you don't have the right mindset to be with them, when your physical capabilities or intellectual capabilities or other qualities don't match with what they are future envisioning in their life and what you are future envisioning in your life. If your paths don't match, you can't be with them. And if your paths are matching or merging, even then if your lives can't be merged in the right ways, balanced ways for each other, healthy ways for each other, again, you will not have the twin flame union that people are seeking. Or if you get into a twin flame union or into a divine counterpart relationship, your relationship will be fraught with troubles if you didn't understand at the core where things are going wrong in a partnership, where you have to change, they have to change, where you have to build, they have to build, where both of you have to jointly build something different from all that you already know or knew or did in the past or are doing in the present. Then only a future life path of a different kind will unfold with a twin flame, which is what twin flames are here on earth for developing, or divine counterparts are here on earth to develop a different way of living, which will not happen if you are still stuck in the same way of living as what was there in the past that hasn't been working also in your past and also in the past of the family or the friends. So you can learn about the twin flame journey not simply from your life. If you are wise people, you will understand it from other people's experiences, from other people's journeys, from other people's toxic patterns of abuse, from your own toxic patterns of abuse. Everything is a teacher for you to guide you into what is not toxic, what is better way of living, what is more aligned way of living, what is more health beneficial for you and a partner, and what is not health beneficial for you and a partner. And sometimes if you are in a relationship with the right partner, you have to make a stand to make them change their perception if their perception has gone wrong about what they think is the right thing. Like if this guy wants a marriage, who is going on a 3-hour trek without a person with whom he wants to marry, should that be the partner you should be with, or should that person marry someone who doesn't care if their partner does whatever, who's happy being with someone neutral with them can be a good partner for them, but someone who wants a joint partnership in life, which twin flames want a joint partnership. Twin flames are here to show some joint partnership things. If you want a joint partnership, you can't be with someone who is doing something where they will be engaged for hours and hours. Can you build a joint partnership with someone who is engaged in their own agenda? No, you can't. So if you want a joint partnership, what you require is very different than if you want a partnership where one is a workaholic, other is a homebody. But I'm not a homebody. That is a paradigm of 100 years back womanhood. None of the women currently on earth are homebodies. They might partially be homebodies, but it is also time for men to become homebodies now. But if these men are, so are they aligned with the twin flame paradigm then? No. Only a guy who is aligned with a twin flame paradigm, who understands that in some features of work, women has to take the leadership, men have to be behind, that women that will only cause the right twin flame partnership to arise, where people also understand that divine feminine energy who has to take the lead may not just be in the feminine, that the man also may have the feminine energy, and then the man has to take the lead. That is also a part of twin flame journey. When the man will lead, when the woman will lead, they both have to lead in certain parts of the twin flame journey, certain parts of divine counterpart relationship. But if you are in such divine relationships, you can only be in such divine relationships when you allow each other to lead in the right ways, when you allow each other to merge and develop in the right ways. And leading can only happen when you trust the other person to lead you the right way, and when they are actually leading you where you both need to go. Just that one has a better roadmap of going there, you may have a lesser roadmap of going there for a while. But when it is a counterpart relationship and a divine relationship, the roadmap will be like a winding river, where a river has, when the river is winding, one side of the river bends the other more, and the other side of the river is bending less. And then when it is twisting again, the side which bent more now will bend less, and the side which bent less now will bend more. So leading in a relationship is like that. In a twin flame or a divine relationship, sometimes the husband will have to lead, sometimes the wife will have to lead. Sometimes the husband will have to bend, sometimes the wife will have to bend. But you have to fluidly evolve in bending with each other. Otherwise, if husband is insisting on bending, wife doesn't understand the value of bending, or wife is insisting on bending, husband doesn't understand the value of bending, then you are in a toxic relationship, where whatever life plan and life purpose you have, their life plan and life purpose are entirely different, or partly only different, but different in a way where you can't hold the same journey together. That's why sometimes rivers also bifurcate, right? For a long time the river flows in the same direction, but when it is reaching the sea, many of the rivers again break apart and break away, and form small tributaries or small streams which won't even go to the sea. So relationships are like that also. So understand what kind of relationship you are in. Are you in the long journey of going from the mountain to the sea with someone, or are you on a short journey where you will break off into a stream because your journey with them has ended, or you will break off into tributaries before going to the sea, but now you can't go with them because the path that you are taking to go to the sea and the path that they are taking to go to the sea have changed, because of which lot of inner work, lot of self analysis, lot of self reflection, lot of understanding of self, lot of understanding of the other is required when you are on a divine journey with someone. And that divine journey is all these discernment and lessons you will gather only when you have had past experiences where they broke off simply because they were all streams, or the water evaporated away from the river itself. They just disappeared from your life like the evaporated water from a river, because they were not meant to only continue on a river journey with you. So what kind of a journey are you leading in life will determine. Now if you were also water vapor, you will also disappear with them and become a water vapor like thing. But again, when you have become a water vapor, both of you became water vapor, like say there was anger in the relationship, it melted away some of the love, and now you have become like water vapor. Again, the water vapor, all water vapor molecules don't stay together. Some will cause rain in, say if the water vapor is happening in Mumbai, some will cause rain in Mumbai. Some of the water vapor will move a little further and go and cause rain in Pune. So if you are going to Pune and they are going to Mumbai, again your paths will diverge and you can't be together with each other. So this is how life journey is with different people, different kinds of relationships, and understanding when your life journey with them has ended, when you have to even if you didn't end it, if someone else has ended it, what is the purpose of that ending happening in your life? If you don't cultivate all this, how will you move towards becoming a divine person? Krishna also had a lot of trouble in his life. Shiva also had a lot of trouble. Parvati also had a lot of trouble. Why? Because they were all in a divine journey, and from their troubles they are learning about becoming more and more divine. So I hope this was beneficial, and if you have any questions, please post a comment. I would love to hear from you. Thank you.